Welcome to Life on the Bench, episode number 2. My name is Brian and my co-host here is Dave.
Yo.
It's quite exciting, episode number 2. I think we should just get straight into it.
That's it.
Well, Dave, I guess first of all, since if you're a listener and you listen to the first podcast, you know that this is our weekly meetup. So I actually don't know what Dave's done for the last week. Dave, what did you do for last week?
I've been on holidays, so pretty much catching up on everything I haven't done in the past 10 weeks. Well, since I was last on holiday. So I know for a lot of you that sounds like not that long ago, but trust me, in our occupation, it is pretty long.
Yeah, it does feel like an eternity at times.
You start the countdown on week 1 of going back to work, and then you still got 9 more weeks to 8 more weeks, and it just drags on. But yeah, winter doesn't help. Getting up early, 5:30 every morning.
Yeah,
it's not easy, but glad to be on holiday.
Yeah, I guess for myself, I think pretty similar to you for over the last week. Obviously on holidays too, and a lot of work around the house. I think it's really general, boring life stuff. I mean, we're not celebrities. We're average, normal people. So we've got to do all the things that normal people do.
But it's strange when you got to do work around the house. It's like you don't remember putting all that dirt there. You don't remember doing putting all that clutter there that you got to fix and maintain. Like, what does your house do when you're not at work? Keep making up all these jobs for you to do. You just think, well, you're just a house. Why are you making me work so much?
Yeah, you're right. And ever since, I guess, becoming a homeowner, I'm always amazed at the amount of just dust and, like you said, dirt and things just collect everywhere. And you're just like, how did that even get there?
Well, I suppose it's a good life lesson. Just little bits of dirt just build up over time, and before you know it, it's quite substantial. So there's a lesson in that. A little bit of effort every now and then over time equals a lot of progress.
That's true. And I guess if you have that little bit of effort over time, you're avoiding the massive cleanup that can happen, or even something, I guess, extremely negative happening from all that bad stuff building up.
So you reckon that's why people say, clean your house, keep a clean house, keep a sort of strict pathway. I've heard that saying somewhere. Clean your house or clean your bed or something like make your bed. I think that's pretty relevant to the situation.
Well, I've never heard that saying, but yeah, I think I know what you're saying. I think what's the saying that comes to mind is just like a clean house or a clean room equals a clean mind. I get the space you live in really can tell what your mental space is doing. So if you come to someone's house that's in complete shambles, well, most likely their mind's probably not doing too well because they haven't put any priority into anything outside of themselves.
Yeah, that's always a pretty accurate assessment, I think. Once you walk into some person's house that you've never been in, you can kind of get a snapshot into their life and how they, well, not necessarily how they live, but what they perceive as importance. I mean, if you walk into my house, for example, I like to think it's pretty clean most of the time, if not overly clean, but that's just me. But some people would be the complete opposite.
Oh, definitely. And where you live reflects your personality. Like you said, well, everyone has a choice of what their home is like. At the end of the day, it is your choice if you want to have, a neat garden, if you want to have just general cleanliness. You don't want to have a house that stinks.
No, definitely not. Well, that's it. I mean, it is a choice. At the end of the day, you drive past these houses that have these real nice front yards, and you think, wow, it would be nice to live in a house like that.
Yeah.
But that's all of that. From what I've learned recently, that's a choice. You can inherit a house that has the best garden in the world, but if you don't keep it up, it doesn't take long for it to erode, I guess, and become something completely different. So it's a choice about maintaining it every single day and making sure you give it attention when it requires it. You got to cut your grass and you got to pull the weeds out, or hopefully not let the weeds grow. So all those things, you got to make those positive choices every day.
Well, that's exactly right. And I guess a very common viewpoint people take if you're driving past, the rich suburbs with the mansions, or like you said, the nice front yards in general. A lot of the outlook on people would just be maybe just pure jealousy. Oh, I can't believe they have that and I don't. But why aren't they thinking it from the point of view, oh, I wonder what hard work or that this person had to do to get this. I wonder what you need to do to maintain this quality, I guess the quality of life, because all of that takes a lot of effort.
Sure. And I think that we've had this in conversations, obviously not on this podcast, but previously, where, in my opinion, just because you live in a poorer suburb and you might not have a bigger house, or, you don't have a 5-bedroom mansion, doesn't mean that the house that you are living in, whether you're renting it or you've bought it, can't look the best it can look. Why can't you look after your piece of property? And I think it's a shame, because you should take pride in whatever is yours. You should take pride in and respect it and try to get the best out of it. And I think that's a good life lesson. I think it's just whatever it is you decide to do the best, be the best at what it is, and you'll be amazed at the opportunities that open up, and just the interest that you gain, and it just opens up a whole new world, as opposed to just letting things happen to you. I think you got to go out there and make them happen, and you got to go and seek these opportunities for betterment, whether it's making sure your front yard is nice. This is obviously just a euphemism for something. We're not actually necessitating everyone go out and work in their front yard, but it would be nice.
Yeah.
But it is that sort of characteristic where, if you read more books, you find new interests, you watch documentaries and things like that.
Yeah.
I think there's so much to know and so much to learn. And it's a shame that we're consistently reverting back to this clickbait sort of pop culture where everything's very shallow. Everything is surface deep, and there's not much to it once you really look into it.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the mainstream. Whatever the sort of the mainstream seems to consume the most.
Yeah, it is, and it is quite unfortunate. I agree totally with you. If you have people that only care about what they're projecting out, not even what they're projecting out at a personal level and from where they live, but what they're projecting out only within social media, because social media, I don't think as many people realize this as they should. It's not the exact representation of everyone's life that's on there. They will give you such a filtered look at their life just to make their life look great, and they want to make someone else envious, or they're doing it because they want all these comments. I guess you'll have the classic. I think this goes for men and women. They'll put, take 100 photos. What's the best looking one? Then they'll get on there and they're just looking for people to go, oh, you look really good today. I'm so jealous of this, jealous of that. But then, as you said, if you bring it back to what are you doing on the home front, you talked about people living in what I guess in quotation marks classes lower socioeconomic areas, or just suburbs that are non-desirable to live in, as some people say. Well, what are people doing in those areas? I guess to make those things a little bit better for themselves, because it's hard to classify an entire suburb as just made up of terrible people,
Definitely.
But when you just can't do that. But unfortunately that's part of human nature. We make a lot of generalizations. So if you live in certain areas, well, you're obviously a bad person according to a lot of people, which is obviously not the case. But then I guess what comes from that as well is a pressure maybe from wider society, or a pressure you may feel build within yourself. If you get marked as living in a terrible area, well, it's probably a little bit harder maybe for you to want to strive to be better. Unfortunately, and I don't think that's the mindset you should have. I mean, the mindset I know that we've both had through life is if someone tells us that we can't do something, or they look down on us, our attitude is, well, you know what? I can do that. I know I can do that, and I will prove you wrong. And then I'll maybe even be better at it than you are.
Yeah, but that's the key. The key thing is proving them wrong, not complaining. Not saying, "Oh, this person said this about me, therefore this." You actually go out there and you show them that you can do what they said they can't do, and not shove it in their face, but quietly just go about your work. And you see these people that 5 years ago thought this would be of you, and then you come back later and you realize actually in the 5 years that you've been away, like you've gone to university, you've got yourself a tertiary education, you've got yourself all these new skills, or you've got into the gym and you've got really fit, and you've achieved all these crazy goals that people previously didn't think you could do. But for me, it's never been about proving them wrong. It's about them putting the idea in my head and then me running with it. Because that, I think, just going off spite of somebody saying you can't do something, you'll run out of energy after a while. You got to internalize it, and you got to be self-motivated.
Do you think it's more you're not proving them wrong? You're proving yourself right. You're proving your self-belief.
Correct. Yeah. You're definitely proving yourself right, because at the end of the day, in that sort of conversation you have with those people, it's their opinion versus yours, and you want to validate your opinion. So that's the only way to do it, is to prove yourself right.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, so definitely, it's definitely a good thing to have, a good sort of characteristic, self-motivation. And I think going back to what you're saying about the social media and Instagram and all those sort of negative aspects of our current world, it can be used as such a powerful tool in a positive way, but this tool of like being able to take a picture and, tell somebody on the other side of the world what you're doing that day, what you're having for lunch, what you're getting up to in your holidays, all those sorts of things. Why would you care what somebody on the other side of the world thinks about what you're doing? You're never going to meet them. You're never going to see them.
Yeah.
Their opinion shouldn't necessarily matter to how you live your life. Yet so many people are worried about what some strange faceless person on the internet thinks about them, to the point where, like you said, they take 100 different photos. Imagine waking up and saying, today I have to take 100 photos and I'm going to choose my best 2 photos. I mean, when last did you take 100 photos?
Yeah, never.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got 2 children, and I don't even wake up and take 100 photos of them. So
yeah. But then you get those parents that have constantly shoving phones or cameras in their kids' faces, and instead of living in the moment with their kids, and I'm not a parent, just to clarify that for our listeners, but I would imagine you have a kid and you want to spend that time like living, like experiencing them growing up, because it's unique and it'll never happen again. So just live in the moment instead of sharing it with people that on your social media. Why are you trying to validate your child's existence on a social media platform when you could be enjoying it? Could be enjoying it with them and with your partner.
Yeah.
It's never been something that's made sense to me.
Well, neither for me, really. I've never had personally a desire, I guess, to seek validation from complete strangers. And we could be wrong about this, but I feel like I know my point of view of social media is that's what a lot of people use it for. They're using it for validation. Even another way just to get positive validation or feedback from their friends, but they won't get it in person, they'll get it online this time. But then also inevitably you'll get people that will follow you that aren't your friends, so you're getting validation and positive comments just from a wider community. I guess the way I think a better way to get validation is from within or from a close-knit group, either if it's just from your family or your close group of friends. Because if you seek validation and then you feel like you get happiness from strangers saying positive things about you, that can definitely end in a bad way. You've got a lot of the trolls and the people that like to do all the negative comments. And then I'm sure if you're a person that gets true happiness or just even plain happiness from all these positive comments on social media, well then if you start to get the negative, I'm sure you'll get all the detrimental things from it as well.
Yep. And I always think those people that I've always admired those people that can just be by themselves no matter what the situation is. They're happy just to hang out if need by themselves. They're as happy as they are, or they're happy with doing whatever. They don't have the fear of missing out, as what they call it, FOMO. That sort of
FOMO. Yeah,
that way of living their life where they're consistently worried about missing on the next greatest party, because this next party is going to be better than the previous party, because this next party is the best ever party that there ever was. And there's nothing ever going to happen that's going to be so much that's going to be at this level.
Yeah.
Imagine living your life like that, and that sort of that consistent anxiety that you are missing out on something. What you're so focused on what's going to happen in the future that you haven't even experienced what's happening in the present.
Yeah, exactly right.
And then before you know it, the future's the past, and you've missed it all. You can never live in the future.
No.
And so many people do.
Yeah, unfortunately. And it seems like a growing trend as well for people to want to live online. They want to live purely through their social media. And, we're not old. We're 30, 31. But I think we already feel a difference in, we were that generation that I believe Facebook came out when we were in around end of high school.
Yeah, I remember getting Facebook just after we finished high school.
Yeah,
but I think it was out before then. But we had MySpace.
Yeah, true. Yeah, like we were on MySpace. I think that was more of like a music platform, wasn't it?
But the thing is, you had to go onto a computer, which makes all the difference. Like if you took these platforms off phones, guarantee you it would make a massive difference.
Because you're taking away the ease of use.
Or it's just too accessible, and and then you have the next generation. I think we finished school 2006.
Yeah, 2006. Yeah.
So there are 14-year-olds, almost 15-year-olds that have grown up their entire life with a social media platform shoved in their face every day, and then you wonder why they think it's such a significant part of the world.
Well, exactly. And then you've got parents that obviously it's good to adopt new technologies and adapt to the way, because they can be positive, like you said. But then you have a full generation of parents where they've got these smartphones or just phones in general, and they're, like you said, they're shoving the camera in their face. They're taking all these photos. And, I've seen it just parents on their social media accounts, they're just littered with photos of their children just all over the place. And I probably think in general society, that's not seen as a bad thing. But my opinion on that definitely differs.
I think most of our opinions to some extent differ on the general societal opinion. But I think we were pretty fortunate in the sense that we were the last generation to grow up with and without social media.
Yes,
we had a platform which was pretty mainstream, but at the same time it didn't dominate our lives. We grew up with having to use those Polaroid cameras where you had 21 shots, whatever it was. And we grew up very short time of existence where you had the digital cameras.
Yep.
Which was like an evolution in technology, obviously. Like you had a little computer on a camera, it's amazing. And then obviously now you got your your camera on your phones. So we have seen 3 significant increases in technology within our short lifespan, which just shows that the technology is exponentially increasing. I mean, if I said to you when we were in our last year of school, like one day you're going to be able to take better photos on your phone and record better videos and, watch all these streaming platforms and surf the internet on your phone, you probably wouldn't believe me.
Or well, no, because the phone at least that I had in high school was a Nokia. Everyone had a Nokia back then, and you texted, you called, and you played Worm on it pretty much.
And if you didn't have enough credit, you sent a please call me.
Yes.
And then the other person would interpret it as, this guy's got no credit. He's poor.
Yeah.
But then again, you probably never had any credit yourself, so you'd be sending please call me back.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the struggle.
The struggle, it was real. The actual struggle. Nowadays, you can call anywhere in the world, probably, and from your home country at least.
I think most aren't SMS
at least on
free.
WhatsApp and FaceTime, I guess, as long as you have the internet.
Yeah, that's true.
Or you just go steal somebody else's, sit outside their house and see if you can find an open internet connection, and off you go.
Yeah. Well, then we also had, like you said, with the ease of use. I know we had MSN Messenger, and literally you had to be on the computer. And
Yep.
I know growing up we had one computer,
Mm.
and it's definitely not the priority of the parents to give a 14, 15-year-old used to the use of the computer.
Mm.
And we still had dial-up internet.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so it was a big effort. Dial-up internet to get on, then MSN Messenger. And it's not like you could just be sitting in your bedroom.
Mm.
If you were lucky back then, you might have been a kid with a computer in your bedroom.
Well, the thing is...
No, I wasn't.
Well, I certainly didn't have it growing up where I was from. I mean, I remember the first time I used the internet, I was in like grade 9, year 9 in South Africa, and I remember it was a computer lesson, and we went to the school for computers, and it literally took a whole hour for Google home screen to load up.
Yeah.
And I thought that was amazing.
It's crazy, isn't
Yeah.
it, how things change. Well, in primary school, this probably might have only been because I went to a private Catholic primary school. We had a computer lab, and that was just, you couldn't believe this. And we played this game called Carmen Sandiego. Did you ever have Carmen Sandiego?
I heard of it, but I never played the game. I know that's the lady that you have to go travel the world and find. Is that the one?
Yeah. So travel the world, and I think it's actually called Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. That might be the full title, maybe.
We had Commander Keen.
I've never heard of Commander Keen.
Yeah.
Is that another search and you look for clues?
No, it's just some platforming, jumping, old school game.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was pretty cool.
Well, it sounds very South African, aggressive, commander,
Yeah.
action-packed.
That's it. I remember there was only I was in year 3, and there was only everyone in the class could play because we had a classroom computer. But there was always this one kid who always used to steal the computer. And, he was my rival in primary school. I won't mention names, but I do not like him, and I still hold that grudge to this day. He just never let me play Commando Keen whenever I wanted to. And he was always there.
Yeah, you always got there first.
You always have that rival. I don't know. Did you have a rival in school?
Well, I'm trying to think. I don't know if I had a rival.
I think maybe it's just me. I think I just self-appoint rivals wherever I go.
Yeah.
If I go to a new gym, for example, this guy's my rival. They don't even need to know it. But I have a lifelong rivalry with 20 people now,
Yeah.
and they've never.
You've never spoken
I've
one
never
word
spoken
to them.
to a word to them. They're probably going about their existence, not even know I exist. But they're my rivals.
Yeah. All right.
They will be taken down.
Oh, I like it. Whatever helps get you through,
That's it. You got to have rivals in university. Had a few of those in terms of academics. Rivals in the gym, And then I was thinking that one when we trained down at the running track at McGilvray, I was thinking it would be good if remember that guy who would just run laps, the heavy breather guy. He always looked like he was about to cock it.
Pretty much. He sounded like he was dying every lap. I think he ran more than the normal outside of that oval. So every lap of McGilvray for him would have been around 2 kilometers at least.
Which is just over a mile for all the
it's about
American...
1.25 miles. Yeah.
So it's not short. It's not long. It's long enough to get you tired. That's for sure.
But he would run minimum probably 5 laps, absolute minimum
in 40 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah, and we were always jealous of that, weren't we?
Yeah.
Once again, I think he was he's a very good example of what we're talking about before, of drive and motivation. Seeing him training out there, he was obviously a runner training for something, but just him pushing, and you would see him from far away, and he looks so natural. Motion of running is so fluid. You just think, man, that guy can run easy. But then as soon as probably he was 100 plus, maybe 100 meters, 150 meters away, you would hear that breathing just...
the internal pain, the struggles.
And there was a few F-bombs that he would drop. So you knew that he was in pain, but you would hear that. He would go past you really loud, struggling, but he would not slow down, and he'd do a whole nother lap, and the same thing would happen again about 100 meters away.
Yep.
Yeah. But drive and determination,
Sure. Yeah. And you know what? Because obviously we saw him quite often over quite a while. wonder if you ever thought, like, you know, these two guys, at least they're trying. You know, we're never as good as him, obviously. Completely different builds to this guy who was a pure gazelle of sorts. And what would
Yes, we're not gazelles.
I'd say close to, or at least for myself, maybe like a baby rhino or a baby hippo or something.
Yeah,
like
I think
that.
a rhino or hippo is for us. We're both just wide and thick.
Yeah, so that doesn't. It's not. We're not cut out for running. Maybe more so myself than you. You're a pretty good runner, compared to me, which most people are actually pretty good runners compared to me. But at least we're trying, and we. As much as I never thought I was good at running, I reckon compared to the average person, I got pretty good. You know, I mean, no, I'm never going to be able to join athletics club, but it was always nice just running past them, just knowing, you're not that much better than me at running. Well, you probably are, but in my head, I thought I could hang with you for a bit.
Yeah.
But then again, if they came and tried what we'll primarily focus on doing, I think we would have one over them. So, you play your strengths and weaknesses.
Well, of course, and that's a big thing, I guess, in life that we've both tried to do is discover our weaknesses, and then once we have discovered them, what can we do to make them better? I know we did quite a lot of discovering our weaknesses through just general exercise. It might sound like just really silly things that don't actually matter, but if you're listening and you enjoy exercise and you enjoy fitness, you know that the struggles that can go into even just a general workout and how it really is a really good mental game, and it's a mental tester. The best of times, I do enjoy running at times. I'm not that great as Dave said, but you can go for, it's like, well, I could easily run 2 kilometers at a jog. Anyone could do that. But could you sprint 400 meters, rest for a minute, sprint another 400 meters, rest for a minute, sprint another 400 meters, and then until you work up to 2 kilometers? That's an entirely different workout, but you've done the same distance.
Sure.
So we did a lot of just testing our mental fortitude.
Well, so much so that we went through that phase where we'd go pick by pick, and one week you would choose the workout, and the next week I'll choose it, and it got to the point where it was, we were literally choosing our own strengths just because we knew for some reason our strengths are completely opposite.
Yeah.
And one week, obviously, I'll choose whatever I was good at. You know what? Looking back on it, I probably didn't progress as much as you did on those days. I probably should have been choosing my weaknesses, but that was the easy choice out. You're always going to take the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
Because if you get a bit of satisfaction out of seeing the other person suffering, because like if this is hard for you, it's definitely going to be hard for them.
Yes.
And that brings me to probably the single hardest workout I've ever done in my life, which I still remember clearly to this day. And I was carrying that 15 kg sandbag, doing 400 meter lap, and then it was deadlifts. And I think there was 3 rounds of that. I can't remember the exact numbers, but
oh yeah.
I was not happy after that. I did not want to carry on after that one, and that one, for whatever reason, still really sticks with me.
Yeah. Well, so it was deadlifts, whatever. I don't know what the weight was, but deadlifting for a certain number of reps, and then you have to run straight away while carrying a sandbag for 400 meters.
Yeah, because deadlifts for me is not normally a problem. Like that's something I can normally do quite easily. It was carrying the bag. For me, that was just because running is not great for me at best of times, and then you put a bag on top of me and you throw competitive elements into it, and it's just you can't stop, but you have that competition, that drive to just do it and do your best.
Yeah.
And, there's a mark at the end of the workout. You get your time. I mean, you could walk it if you really wanted to, but what's the point of doing that?
Well, exactly right. If you want to take it off, if you want to walk it, but I guess from our point of view, if you're walking it, might sound a bit sadistic, but I would say you can walk it if you're vomiting or nearly vomiting. But yeah, like you said, we did mention last week as well, when we do these workouts, you're putting in the time, you're testing yourself mentally, you're pushing yourself to whatever limit you want to set for that day. But then after our workout is when you get your time on the bench, and for us, well, that's
Well, there should be, like that saying where you're on the bench, and it's sort of associated with like you not being as good. You're a bench warmer. You're a reserve. But for me, like you just said, time on the bench that's when you've earned. That's when you've come off. Maybe like you start in the first half and you come off because you've put in the work and you've earned your rest.
Well, exactly right, and that's the way we've always seen it. Is you're earning time out because you have put in your work. You've put in your work for whatever you've done for that week or even just for that workout, and then you've earned the rest. You've earned that food and that snack. And you've earned, well, for us, our major motivator, most people like to drink, I guess, alcohol to relax or whatever is your drink of choice. But our drink of choice is just an iced coffee. Really, it's literally just a milk that's flavored with coffee.
That's the best thing in the world. I highly recommend it.
Yes, we both love that too. Well, I've been told by my wife that we love that too, almost a weird... get to a level of almost weirdness.
Obsessive.
Obsessive of it.
Well, every workplace that I've gone to in the last few years has associated me with drinking iced coffees without fail.
Yeah, and it's just what we do. It might not be mainstream or as normal, but
no, not at all. I remember once walking through the casino, on my very few times of going to the casino when I was younger, and all the people that I was with. I think you could have. Maybe you were even there. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
So that's how rare this situation would have been.
Yeah.
But anyway, walking through the casino and everyone's gambling, and obviously it's over 18, gambling, drinking alcohol, and I was very content there, just drinking my iced coffee.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. And you know what? Did not feel any sort of shame whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because you know what? When you want an iced coffee, you want an iced coffee, especially cappuccino. That's
our go-to cappuccino.
And I mean, when people say like the limit, when I got challenged when I was working at the Wembley Hotel, and the guy said that I can drink 2 liters of iced coffee.
Oh yeah.
Just don't do it because obviously I can, and I did.
Yeah.
And I got a free 2-liter iced coffee, and I'm pretty confident I had one before then too.
Nice.
So, I'm maybe not so much these days. It has, believe it or not, slowed down. But there was a time where I reckon between the two of us, we could have put 6 liters away in one day. Not easy.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is kind of, I guess iced coffees have become a bit synonymous with us.
It's the foundation of our relationship, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's
without iced coffee there's nothing. There's a silence.
Yeah, I mean, and we don't even call it iced coffee, we just call it milk. If we're gonna hang out, we say, oh, you want to grab a milk, or are we getting milks, or do you have your milk already?
Got milk. We should be getting paid for this. We should be sponsored by it. Remember we bloody drove all the way to the Harvey factory, which produces the milk, just to go see what it looks like.
Yeah, so we so we like cappuccinos, as we mentioned, and our favorite brand is made by Harvey Fresh, and that's a town here in our state. It's called Harvey, and we previous, I think, to us going to that town, because we wanted to go there because we drink that milk, we drink that brand, and it just becomes synonymous. And most if you drink wine or beer, that you can go and have a tour of their facilities. You might be able to go there, have some free tasting plates,
some samples,
and some food as well. So we called up Harvey Fresh Production Factories, and we asked them, "Do you run tours?" And I think in the email we actually explained how much you mean to us. We said that you're like the cornerstone of our friendship. We really love you guys as a company and things like that.
I love what you do.
Yeah,
you guys do good work.
We're really complimentary of them, and I don't know if they've ever gotten an email like that ever. And we asked if we could have a tour of their factory.
Yeah.
But they said no, they don't do tours.
They don't do tours. But I'm sure they were pleasantly surprised. I mean, I would be if you would probably just thought we were really weird, to be honest.
I think they would have thought we were weird or joking, but we weren't joking.
No, 100% serious.
I think we're a bit sad in that we couldn't get a tour of their facilities, but what we decided to do anyway.
Because we're not going to let that stop us.
Oh, of course. What we thought was, well, let's just make an extended little trip for this that weekend, and then we can do some reconnaissance because we'd never driven to Harvey together. And Harvey's probably about a 1 hour drive from Perth.
Well, it's past where I work, so it's probably an hour and a half.
Oh yeah, true, hour and a half. Yeah, so it's a decent drive. And then we got there, we did a drive-by of the factory. We weren't allowed on the grounds, obviously, where we did a slow drive-by just to stare and give thanks to something that produces our favourite beverage. And then we went to the town of Harvey itself, which we'd never actually been to.
No.
We brought our milks, our iced coffees from the local supermarket. A comment was made almost straight away, probably by both of us, how the prices were outrageous.
Seeing as though you could literally walk to the factory.
The factory was making it 1 kilometre away, and the price was probably 50% more than it would have been at any other shop. Which
outstanding.
Yeah, we are a little bit I guess
aggrieved. I'd say.
Yes, yeah. With our milk prices, we liken to be at certain levels of what we expect. I'm assuming that's for anyone that has a favourite beverage or food. You would be a bit annoyed to pay extra than what you would normally expect to.
Well, you could have at one point pay $2 to get a 1 litre cappuccino Harvey Fresh, and now I think it's $4 now at RGA up the road.
Yeah, okay, IGA. So that's Independent Grocers of Australia. That's a supermarket chain we have here, and I think it's all around Australia, maybe just Perth. I'm not really sure. But yeah. We've got a milk pricing game. We know how much the milk should cost. Just like some people know the price of gold, we know the price of milk. It's our liquid gold.
And I still believe that I have got the cheapest milk on record ever. And I think that $0 for milk through the cashier still counts. I got the receipt. I don't know where it is, but I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
Well, you send me photo evidence.
Yeah, well, I'll be struggling for that, so we're just gonna have to take my word for it.
Yeah.
But we have both achieved multiple 15 centers here and there. 29 cents is quite a regular one. 49 cents. Whenever there's that special, even if it was a 2 liter and let's say that it goes off the next day, challenge accepted.
Yeah,
it's not a problem.
No, it's not. But
it's gonna get done.
If it's expired, if it's 1 day old, I don't think that's an issue.
I always wondered, who tells the milk when to be expired? Is it it's good from up until 11 a.m. that day, and then all of a sudden, bang.
Well, that's it. I think it's more of just a guess in general, but then also you'll get milks that are in date and that would have gone off. So I think it's more of how they're treated in the run from when they're packed. Are they kept in cool environment? Where are they kept in the fridge section of the supermarket? Have they been at the front of the fridge, for an extended period of time? Maybe some persons put the milk in their trolley, decided they don't want it, put it back.
Sure,
it's going to affect the life.
All these small things. Well, you know what? When it comes to drinking milk, so I can have mine stand out half the day and I'll still smash it.
That's a massive point of difference between Dave and myself. I like it cold. Dave just does not care.
No, as long as it's still some in the carton, I'm happy.
Yeah.
But I always think it tastes best at the glass. But for some strange reason, it feels like there's less when you put it in the glass. I don't know if that's how you feel sometimes.
I actually do feel that way because we've got these mugs and it's a beer mug, but it's my milk mug. Yep. 500 mils, half a litre. And whenever you put it in there, it just feels less.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's just too convenient.
It's just weird, isn't it? Yeah, and you seem to appreciate it more when it's in the original packaging.
But then just obviously speaking of milk and how much it means so much to us, and not just us, I'm sure there's millions of us across the world. Let's stay strong.
Yeah.
But remember how people always say that don't drink that stuff, it's not good for you, and then surprise, a few years comes rolling past and there's a scientific study, multiple scientific studies, you can look it up, that supports the notion that iced coffees after exercise is actually really good for you. And I did CrossFit for a while, and there was one particular person, I'm not going to say who always used to bag me out saying, why am I drinking these things? And they must have forgotten the conversation once. And I remember it would have been like maybe 4 or 5 months later, I finished the workout, and surprise, surprise, she goes and drinks a iced coffee after the workout. So I ask her, why are you drinking iced coffee? And then she decides to explain to me the benefits of it and why everyone should be drinking it afterwards. Because, after a serious workout, you want to restore your energy and whatnot, and all the scientific nonsense behind it. I just had to keep quiet, because they wouldn't believe you if you said, "Oh, yeah, you've been doing this for that specific reason."
Yeah, and then also I think that's just another enemy on Dave's list, right there.
Definitely. Oh yeah, enemies. They go on the list and they stay on the list.
Yeah.
But it's that mentality that some people have, that when you've been doing something a certain way your whole life, but until the professionals or some scientist comes out and expert in their field comes out and states for whatever reason that is a good thing to do, then people start believing what you were saying. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you know where this is going. This leads me on to the bench press example.
No, I don't know.
So Brian and myself, amongst our exercise, we incorporated a lot of cross-training, CrossFit, I guess, if you will, sort of methodologies, but still also doing strength training, like powerlifting movements as well, all sorts, running. So we haven't really stuck to one thing and one thing only. But in this specific community, bench press was frowned upon as another functional movement.
Oh, yes, okay. I remember now.
Now I think that's jogs your memory, and going back to, I don't know if it would have been like 2 years ago now?
Yeah, something like that.
Anyway, I got in a lot of trouble not trouble, but I just got told, we don't bench press in this CrossFit exercise gym.
Yeah.
Because it's not associated with the movements, it's not in the script. So I thought that was pretty
It's just
ignorant,
ignorant, closed-minded.
because it's not functional. We'll talk about the word functional in a minute, because that word actually really annoys me. But in the sense of CrossFit, it wasn't part of their repertoire of movements. And I thought, well, being able to bench press was the reason why I could strict handstand press better than anybody doing kipping press-ups. And I strictly think that's because of me being able to bench press and be pretty good at it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's digress off the story. So one of the games roles, I think it was one of the open workouts.
Yep.
Involved a CrossFit, bench press movement.
Yes, it did.
Lo and behold, next week, what is programmed in the weekly programmer? Bench press. Who's doing the bench press? Everybody that said you shouldn't do it.
Mm.
So why all of a sudden, over 1 week difference, has it become a pariah in the community to like the next big thing? And I think that's just pure ignorance.
Well, yeah, definitely.
People aren't willing to read and actually look into the two things themselves, and they just wait for somebody to tell them that it's okay to do it.
And I guess the troubling thing with that is, if you look into that community, all of the professional CrossFit athletes, they would all do bench press, at least to some extent. I mean, they all do push-ups and stuff.
Well,
that'll work similar muscles.
And that's the reason what always threw me. It's like, well,
yeah, it's weird.
A push-up is the exact same movement in terms of actual movement pattern to a bench press. So why? Is it because it's like a meathead movement?
Possibly.
And
it is weird. But I think you have a lot of subsets of people within CrossFit, or just fitness in general, or anything in the world. You have subsets of these major groups who, like you said, they'll only follow along to what they get told exact to the letter is right. They'll do no research themselves, and they won't add anything in that might be seen as a little bit different, because they're scared. There's that fear then of you'll be shut out, or you'll be looked down on, or you'll be talked about. Oh no, you did this. We don't do this in our little group here. How could you do that? We're going to tell everyone else that you did that.
And outcast you.
Yeah.
And then when they get a sip of the Kool-Aid, then they can't shut up about it.
Yeah.
That's very frustrating. And that leads me back to that whole functional, that term functional fitness. That really, really annoys me, because what's functional for you will be completely different to somebody else. Functional movement relates to your lifestyle and your lifestyle patterns. If you are someone, for whatever reason, pushing things along, I don't know, maybe your job is to push boxes,
Yeah.
You know, why isn't bench press good for you then?
Well, exactly right.
So that term functional fitness is, I think it's very misappropriated. It's just not actually used for what it's meant for. And, you know, you can't say that these exercises are functional for life because, well, whose life? They might be functional for yours, yes, but maybe not for somebody else. So it's a very annoying term that I find.
Yeah.
And I think I can't remember who I read. It was on one of these fitness articles. A pretty high up trainer, I think it was in the powerlifting world, and he agrees with that terminology that functional fitness, functional pattern movements is not a thing. Everyone's different. Everyone trains for a reason. If your job is to hold up grocery bags, for example, for a living, for whatever reason, bicep curls would be very functional for you then.
Oh, definitely.
But then you do a bicep curl in a CrossFit gym, for example, and you're an outcast straight away because what are you doing? We don't do that here. Whereas I'm sure if you did your biceps, somehow that would carry over to being able to do really more efficient pull-ups, reverse grip pull-ups, or chin-ups, in other words.
Well, exactly. And I think with because you've got bench press, squats, and so on, you've got the compound movements, you're involving one more than one joint in the body. You need to strengthen the supporting muscles. Biceps are supporting, triceps are supporting.
Yep.
If you don't strengthen up those small muscles, a lot of people will have really terrible shoulders, really bad shoulder injuries that you would only really think to see in professional athletes, but all they do is play one sport on the weekend. Well, even if you play one sport on the weekend, you should do some type of training and strengthening because, like you said, that becomes your functional movement. It's something that you want to achieve, something that you want to do good at and succeed. Well, you should actually apply some training behind that because there's no reason why if I play football on the weekend, then I should go out, have really weak quads, and then go out and just tear my ACL because I had no supporting muscle and structure.
Yeah, that's it. So so everyone just needs to, I think, chill on that. Any fitness is good fitness. I think everyone just needs to stop being so critical of everybody else's choices when it comes to it. Because, if you want to go out there and just be a runner, be a runner. If you want to go out there and just lift weights, lift weights. But at least you're out there. At least you're earning your spot on the bench, so to speak, and you're not you're just sitting around watching television all day. Watch 8 hours of TV all day if you want, but make sure you put that hour in before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You need to make sure you're doing something to better yourself first. I guess if we bring it all the way back to the start of this podcast or this episode, we were talking about what are you doing to make where you live or your grass, as you said, Dave, to look good. It's just like what are you doing in general life to make you better? What are you doing to make yourself better? Mentally, your cognitive functions. Are you going out there reading a book? Are you trying to seek some new knowledge in some way? Are you trying to learn a new skill perhaps? Or you're getting involved in a new hobby? Are you doing something that even makes your work life even better? Are you upskilling? Are you doing something around the house? Perhaps, some more handyman work. You're learning how to fix some paving or something in your house, You're learning how to grow a new tree. Or, then what are you also doing physically? Because your body is such a great machine, but still so greatly misunderstood for something that everyone has.
I think we're getting to the end, but I think that's something that we should talk about on a future episode is how much we just disregard the most important thing in our lives, which is our bodies.
Yeah.
How we are so easy to abuse them through whatever means. Yeah, we don't realize that, you might drive your $100,000 BMW, which is obviously a very fancy car, but I can tell you that your left hand is probably worth more than $100,000.
Yeah.
And yet we still disregard, your organs. People just go about destroying them, going out their way, whether that with drugs or excessive smoking and alcohol. And it's always blowing my mind. You always get the the understanding that you shouldn't be doing these sorts of things, whether it's on TV or just through common sense. Yet people still do it every single day, and I can't work that one out personally.
No, neither can I. But yeah, that's definitely, like you said, we're getting towards the end here for this episode, and we should definitely continue on with the conversation about that for sure, because there is a lot of issues with that, and it's amazing the amount of people in society that know they shouldn't do it, but they'll do it anyway.
I think that's a valid point to stop on.
Perfect.
And yeah, I think we'll call that one time for this episode and pick up where we left off, or we might just talk about something completely different.
We don't know. that is just life on the bench.
That's the oldest conversations, and sometimes we brush on relevant topics, and sometimes we just go on tangents about milk. But that's life on the bench, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Thank you so much, Dave.
Thanks.